Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Carbondale United's third annual virtual youth summit. Normally, this is something that's not in person, but due to everything that's going on in our world right now, we're having to do it virtually. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and share this. If you have another teen in your life, a friend, a best friend, go ahead and tag them in this, share this with them, text people, let them know the virtual youth summit is going on right now. Share this on Facebook, invite as many people as you can. If you want to host a watch party on Facebook, go ahead and do that as well. The more people, the better it'll be. So go ahead and do that at this time. I want to take this time to introduce myself. I am going to be your MC, your host, your facilitator. On this afternoon, my name is Pastor Christopher Swims. I serve as the senior pastor of the Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church right here in the great city of Carbondale, Illinois. I am honored to be your facilitator, your MC, your host, whichever one you want to use. I'm excited to be that for you on this afternoon. As we get ready to get started, want to share a few things with you. Want to give you the schedule so you'll kind of know the flow, how everything is going on this afternoon. I'm just going to be before you on your screens. You can be able to follow along right with me. So here's the summit schedule for today. There are going to be 2 speakers. After each speaker, our 4 panelists will come in and just share input, insight on what our speaker talked about. After each panelist comment period, the speaker and the panelists will answer your questions. You can be able to submit your questions during the question and answer period. We'll collect them. We have someone on the team that's going to collect them. It was not done on purpose. We're just trying to keep the flow going and answer as many questions as we can. Once we get to the end of the summit, we're going to share this PowerPoint on the Carbondale United Facebook page so that you can be able to access the resources shared. Please certainly take advantage of that. We got some great speakers, some great panelists, great information that you're going to receive today. We want you to access that. Again, I'm your MC, I'm your host, I'm your facilitator, whichever one you want to call me. You can put all 3 together if you want to, make up a new word. I'm going to be that for you this afternoon. Want to be able to introduce our first speaker on this afternoon, and I'll wait for the screens to change. Oh, I'm sorry. I moved ahead of myself. Housekeeping tips. If you want to be able to ask questions, there are 3 ways that you can be able to submit your question. If you're watching this on Zoom, you can be able to use the question and answer function. It's probably at the top if you're using your iPad, or at the bottom if you're using your laptop. Submit your questions anonymously by checking Send Anonymously box. If you're viewing this summit on channel 16, you can be able to call or text your question to 1-872-356-2939. Again, if you're watching this on channel 16, you can call or text your question to 1-872-356-2939. If you're viewing this summit on Facebook, comment on the live stream. If you are having technical difficulties, use the right-hand function. We'll have someone on the team that can be able to help you as soon as possible. Now, we want you to be a part of this because to be eligible to win prizes, you must complete the registration form before the summit, attend the summit, and complete the survey provided after the summit. Winners will be contacted via phone or email. So again, if you want to be the lucky person to win the prize, we need you to follow those instructions. Here's the mission statement for Carbondale United. We are beautiful, intelligent, and developing in progress and in positive ways. So get ready to grow, get ready to be stressed today and encouraged as we look for ways to serve ourselves, to better take care of ourselves and our community. Let me introduce, I believe this is time now for me to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Dr. Mickey Weaver. She's a clinical psychologist who will share self-care tools for today's virtual youth summit. She has worked with youth at the Adolescent Health Center in Carbondale and Cottonwood Residential Mental Health Center for Youth in Cape Girardeau. Dr. Mickey has taught in the psychology departments at SIU, SEMO, and John A. Logan Community College. Let's give a big virtual welcome to Dr. Mickey Weaver.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello? Unmute myself. Okay. I'm trying to unmute me. Wait a minute. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're unmuted. You're good to go.
Yeah. I just finished watching President Obama, that guy, John Lewis, and my grandmother made me think. She used to say, I'm full, and I couldn't understand why she was full. She hadn't been eating. So right now I'm full at the moment, in the present, okay, listening to the eulogy. But I want to share some tools with you guys that I've had used and developed with my students over the years that kind of served me well. You don't have to use, there's 6 of them. You don't have to use all of them. You can pick and choose. You might even have tools that you use you can share with us. Can I have the next screen, Liz? Liz, next screen. Okay, and the 6 tools are as follows. They are self-affirmation, mirror talk, creating an awareness wheel, viewing meditation videos for beginners, online psychotherapy, and the last one is also a community tool, creating a community use website. Next screen, Liz. So the first one we're going to look at is the self-affirmation. A self-affirmation, in fact, we had one at the beginning when Dr. Swims was talking, Reverend Swims rather. An affirmation is a statement of truth. And here are some following truths. This universe we live in is full of energy. And I, Mickey Weaver, or you can use your name, we're part of the universe. And therefore, as part of the universe, I, Mickey Weaver, have all of the energy I need to do the things I have to do this day. Have you ever been around people who just say, oh, I'm so tired? And you give yourself a statement, I'm tired, and then you're tired the whole day. I had a student one day, I was walking down the street with her. She said, oh, Mickey, I'm so tired. And I said, how could you be tired? You're too young to be tired. But if you tell yourself you're tired, you're going to be tired the whole day. So, but if you use this every day, even before you hit the floor in the morning, tell yourself, I'm part of the universe. The universe is full of energy. The second tool is mirror talk. I want you to locate and find a mirror, either in your bedroom or your bathroom. And after you found your mirror, close the door so that you're in there all by yourself. I want you to face the mirror and tell yourself, hello. And next tell yourself, I like me. It's okay to laugh, giggle, because probably you've never told yourself you like you or talk to yourself. Up a little bit more, please, Liz. If you're going to use this tool, make sure you use it every day. Okay, keep going. Okay, okay. Make sure that you use it every day. Also, you can tell yourself while looking in the mirror, I am a kind person. I am kind to all living things in the universe. And I'm also kind to me. And if you find yourself doing some unkind things to other people, or if you're doing some unkind things to yourself, you have the ability to forgive yourself. You can use this tool every day, and I still use it. Next screen, please. Okay, the third tool is you're going to create an awareness wheel. And actually, this awareness wheel was not really developed by me, but 2 of my favorite psychologists, a guy named Timothy Leary and a guy named Frederick S. Curls. They're the ones who first came up with the awareness wheel, and I just kind of modified theirs to me. In the awareness wheel, I'm going to teach you how to make one. It's a circle of behaviors. And you can actually, when you're every day, look and see what circle of behaviors you're using. And you can decide if you are using the constructive or unconstructive behaviors. You can actually decide to move around the circle and find some more constructive behaviors. Okay, keep going. When you make the awareness wheel, lift up a little bit. One more screen. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a vertical line. And in the vertical line, at the north part of the vertical line, you're going to have active behaviors. And at the bottom or the south part of the vertical line, you're going to have passive behaviors. Next screen is that the next screen up the screen. You're going to draw a horizontal line. And to the right of that, you're going to have constructive behaviors. And then you're going to have to the left of that, destructive behaviors. So what you've done is like really created a cross. Upper screen. And then you're going to draw an arc from active behaviors to constructive behaviors. And then next screen, from active behaviors to destructive behaviors. Then from passive behaviors to destructive behaviors. Upper screen, Liz. Upper screen. And then passive behaviors to constructive behaviors. So you've got a quadrant or 4 squares up at the upper screen. And you're going to see that you've got a circle with 4 quadrants or 4 squares. You're going to have active constructive behaviors, active destructive behaviors, passive destructive behaviors, and passive constructive behaviors. Upper screen. And over the years, my students have filled in the circle. These I just went over the 4 quadrants. And over upper screen, they come up with behaviors that they think are active constructive. For example, engaging in a workout, I lost it, or educating yourself. Coming to the summit today is an active constructive behavior. Okay, I don't have a picture. A passive, active destructive behavior would be if you're angry with somebody, you hit them. Okay, a passive destructive behavior is you have a problem and you decide to take a drink of alcohol or you decide to drug yourself, self-medicate. And a passive constructive behavior might be to take a short nap, go on a short vacation. And by the way, these behaviors are not, for some reason, I can't see anybody. I lost my video. Okay, where are we? Okay, there you see a list of behaviors, both active constructive, active destructive, passive destructive, and passive constructive. You know, and there's no right or wrong answer. I had a student one year, we got into a discussion. I thought praying would be a passive constructive behavior, and she thought that praying would be active constructive behavior. Okay. Nope. Next screen, Liz. Okay, the 4th tool is learning how to meditate. And I have something blocking my view of, okay, learning how to meditate is the 4th tool. Next screen, go up. And meditation is a set of practice where you use to increase your attention span and your awareness. You can practice it on a daily basis. I know people who use meditation, they practice it twice a day. Meditation has some benefits. It helps to reduce stress, helps to control anxiety. It enhances your self-awareness, and it lengthens your attention span. Next screen. Now, I've linked some different websites and apps where you can learn how to meditate, but I have 2 that I use and I really like. Next screen, Liz, up. Okay, I like to use this little guy, and he teaches you how to meditate. Let's see if I can. Liz, can you click on that and see if you can activate him on the link? Some people think you should meditate with music, and some people think you should meditate without music. Can you get him to activate? But where meditation is where you're going to learn to quiet your thoughts and go inward and find out who you are as a person. Okay, I don't know. I can't get him to, okay. I don't know if he's going to come out. Okay, if you can't, we can't link activate him now, but he will be on at the library. I'm putting these links at the library and on United Carbondale, upper screen. So I have different websites where you can learn to meditate. You can go up, that's part 2, to learn to meditate. And then I have meditation websites just for teenagers and just for youth. Okay, and these are some. These are gonna be on at the on resources at the public library here in Carbondale. Upper screen. We come now to the fifth. The fifth tool is going and visiting psychotherapy. Upper screen. I've defined psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a special relationship between a person who is in need of help and someone who is a professional helper for a specific time limit. You're not going to have a relationship with life with this person, but you're going to explore different ways to solve for life problems. You can go to psychotherapy in face-to-face settings, or you can go electronically, or you can go on the internet. Maybe some of you all have already visited. You can go to psychotherapy using telephones, email, messaging, live chat, teleconferencing, the internet, and then there are virtual psychotherapy rooms. I don't know if you've ever been to Second Life. The Second Life is a virtual room, and you could actually meet with you and your avatar. You create an avatar which represents you, and the therapist will have an avatar. And you can meet individually in a virtual psychotherapy room, or you can meet with groups. Up a screen, Liz. I've downloaded some websites for you to go to. There's one that's not on here that I like, and it's called Eliza. Eliza is the internet, and you type in questions, and Eliza will give you answers based upon client-centered psychotherapy. But the swimmer, Michael Phelps, has been doing commercials lately, and he's been telling people that he uses the psychotherapy, a website called Talkspace. And these are therapy sites for young people. Now, if you go to a psychotherapy website, you may have to get your parents' permission, and sometimes they'll even take insurance. But if you discuss something online with the therapist is not going to be discussing it with your parents. The only time they would discuss something with your parents is if you threaten to harm yourself or another person. But what you tell the person in psychotherapy is mainly between you and the therapist. Okay, upper screen. And the last one I really like is this self-care tool number 6. And it's going to really introduce our next speaker, Gregory Norris. It's developing a community youth website. Upper screen, please. A community youth website, if we had one for the community, it could serve as a community newspaper. You could begin to identify some local resources for people in the community, like local resources, state resources, and even universal resources. We have a community youth website. The youth will learn how to develop web pages and web designs. A website is like a book, and the web pages are the various pages within the book. Okay. I've reached out to people in the community to help us if we do get a youth website going who would want to help. And SIU, Information Technology, we have a group of students called Tech Dogs. And the Tech Dogs are real excited to meet with our youth site. Final next page, please. And so, this next page. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you that if you're interested, I or Greg Norris would be willing to help you. Can you click on that that last website? Click on the last one for me, please. This is an example of what a community youth, Carbondale Community Youth website would look like. Anyway, the Tech Dogs is a student group on campus, and their mission is to work with community groups. And they would be interested in working with people, the youth, to develop a community youth website. Okay. Thank you for listening to my presentation and how you may use some of these tools. Oh, okay.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Weaver, for that great information. I don't know about you all. I was taking notes for myself and going to use some of those things as well. Let me introduce to you our panelists that we have coming up. Our first panelist is Caleb Bonzi. Caleb Bonzi is a rising junior an honor student at the Carbondale Community High School. He just completed his second summer at the SMASH Academy, a STEM-focused program for minority high school students. He also plays soccer and tennis for the high school. Welcome, Caleb. Next, we have Jayla Thompson. Jayla Thompson is a 17-year-old senior at Carbondale Community High School. She plans on going to college and becoming an RN. Welcome, Jayla. Third, we have Kiara Greer. Kiara Greer is the secretary of the SIU Student Alumni Council. She's a junior major in social work at SIU. She is from the south side of Chicago. She has a 4.0 GPA and also remains on the dean's list. She enjoys helping others and giving back to her community. Welcome, Kiara. And finally, we have Miss Jayla Ware. Jayla Ware is a 60-year-old honor student at Carbondale Community High School. She is currently a scholar at the SMASH Academy in Chicago, Illinois, a STEM program for minority youth. She is interested in studying marine biology throughout her journey in higher education. Well, welcome to all of our panelists. We want to give you now this time to be able to come in and to share your thoughts. Let's start. Right. We can start with Caleb. Okay, go ahead, Caleb.
Thank you guys for having me today. I thought the information that Ms. Weaver shared was very informative, and actually some of the activities that she had listed for the awareness were activities that I use to help with my own self-care. I often exercise, which is, I think she said, active constructive activity that you can use in order to improve your self-care. And then napping as well is something that I do. And then other self-care tips that I have just personally as a youth is unplugging from like social media and the news, because with everything going on in today's world, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and stressed and get anxiety, fear, all kinds of different emotions. So sometimes you just gotta take a step back and not be informed or put your head in the sand, but sometimes it's okay to take a break from everything that's going on in the world and give yourself a second to process what's going on.
Jayla Thompson, you want to share next?
I would say self-care is more of, making sure you're okay. You want to be there for other people, make sure other people are okay, but you also want to be there for yourself, make sure that everything is going okay in your life, making sure you keep positive thoughts, pray if you do that thing. You could write like I do. I love writing. I got a bunch of notebooks. Write to yourself. You can write to other people, making sure that, you keep yourself together. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Everything you guys have said has been great, especially Caleb, when you mentioned about unplugging with everything that's going on, so much negativity on the news, just for a moment. The world is not going to die if we unplug from social media for a moment. So I definitely agree with you. Let's hear from Kiara and then Jayla Ware.
Okay, I got it. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Dr. Mickey Weaver, for shedding light on amazing information that we definitely need to hear as youth. One of the things that I appreciate you talking about is you were saying, like, if you say something to yourself, your body will believe it. When you said, like, if you say I'm tired, then your body is going to start believing that you're tired. So your words are powerful. And I know this for a fact, because when I got back in college, I used to say, I'm good at everything else, but I'm a bad test taker, and I would fail every test. So I started writing 100 lines that I am a great test taker. I pass every test, and now I get all A's on tests. So that's very important. What you speak to yourself is important. So you know what, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So definitely remember that. Always say positive things to yourself and other people because it come back. And another thing she said was mirror talks. Again, words are powerful. So, you know, when you find yourself sad or down, I did this yesterday. I just kept saying, I am beautiful. I am happy. I am strong. I love people. I did that for like maybe 10 minutes and my whole mood changed. So, you know, words is a big thing to me. Like Jayla says, she write a lot. So words really have power. So, you know, use your words. And meditation and yoga. Dr. Mickey Weaver talked about meditation. And one big thing I learned about meditation and yoga is that it teaches you to be in the present moment. Caleb talked about unplugging. You want to unplug so you can be in your current moment and enjoy what's going on right now, you know. So I think all of those are great. And yeah, that's basically my comments on that.
Love it, love it, love it. Everybody is saying some really good stuff. So if you're watching, please, again, feel free to share this, tag other people in it. Make sure you're taking notes. Make sure you're taking notes. I've learned something that we're good at taking care of everybody else but ourselves. And so we're no good in taking care of anybody else if we fail to take care of ourselves first. We have to balance it out with making ourselves a priority in our lives. So, Jayla, where?
Hi, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Weaver, for all the great tips. I actually recently just started researching about the benefits of the mirror talks and speaking positive to yourself. So I think that really does work. And I really appreciate how you mentioned over and over that you have to do it every day, because I think that repetition will really create a change that you didn't even think could happen. But when you keep repeating the positive affirmations over and over again, it really does create a change. And for me personally, for self-care, I really like to just keep myself on a schedule. That just really works for me. Making sure that I do things that I enjoy every day. I make sure that I do something that makes me happy every day, either if that's reading a book or praying or studying in my Bible or something like that. I just like to make sure that it's something that brings me joy overall. And I just like to keep myself on track and not let my mind slip away to negative things if I can find something that I can focus on for a certain amount of time every day. So I think that creating a schedule and bringing your own self-joy really helps.
Awesome. You guys have made some great comments. Love everything that you said. So again, if you're watching this, I hope you're taking notes because it's some good stuff, some good tools that you put in your toolbox to help you. You don't even have, it's good for me to write and read something that I wrote a few years ago. It encourages me for where I am right now. So you guys have done a wonderful job. If you're out there watching, give them a virtual hand clap just to say thank you for all the comments because it's been absolutely amazing. Now we're going to open the floor for you all that have been watching. If you're viewing, listening, wherever you are, whatever platform that you're using for you to submit your questions. So Faith Miller is going to come now with our questions for our panelists. Feel free. The questions may be directed towards a certain panelist, or it can be everybody can jump in and have something to say with it. Faith?
So far, there are no questions at this time.
All right. Well, we are going to move right along. Well, we got one question. And I'll put this out there for the panelists. And I think Jayla already mentioned this, but this can be for everybody else. Let me find it again. Here we go. Do any of you all journal for self-care? Do you find it helpful? So I know Jayla already commented on that, but whoever else wants to jump in on it, the more the merrier.
I definitely journal. I found that when I do not journal, I could tell when I don't journal. But when you do journal, it's definitely a good thing that you can. Because when I go back and look at my old journals and see where I'm at, it doesn't make it. My bad days don't seem so bad. So I think journaling is definitely an effective tool for self-care because it's like your little book that you're probably writing. You don't know where those journal entries can go. So yeah, journaling is definitely effective.
Absolutely. Caleb, I think you were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, journaling is something that I started doing earlier this year, but I've definitely found it effective just to have a space where you can write your emotions and like express what you're feeling from day to day. I feel like, especially as a male, you're kind of taught to like bottle your emotions or keep them in and not like really give you a chance to explore what you're feeling. Journaling is a great way for you to like express what you're feeling in your own kind of personal way. So yes, journal is something that I find super effective.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Don't want to, if anybody else wants to comment, Jayla, I see you're unmuted, that you wanted to have something else to say.
Oh, yes, I was gonna say that I don't necessarily write in like actual journal, but I do have a prayer box, and I write in that every night, just things that I need to get off of my chest, and I put in a little box. But I think it's just as effective as writing in the actual journal.
It sure is, sure is. It's all, it could be a notebook, it can be a piece of paper, it can be a coloring sheet, just writing something on it. It still works, still has the same power behind it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for all of your comments. Now we're going to move on. We're going to flow a little bit differently now. We've been talking about self-care, but now we're going to talk about community care. So we have our next speaker that's getting ready to come up. But before we do that, I think we do have a question. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Here we go. We're going to keep it moving. Our second speaker is Gregory Norris. He's a retired Marine corpus drill instructor. He's the founder of the nonprofit organization named ACES for Youth. He attended the White House twice to participate in meetings on how to launch President Obama's My Brothers, Sisters Keeper initiative, a program particularly for Black males and females of colors. Please give a virtual welcome to Greg.
Okay, I just got my video. Can I be heard? Can I get a thumbs up on a sound check from anyone?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Wow, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't heard some good stuff. I don't even know where to start when you talk about taking notes. I took notes from the doctor all the way down to the panelists. So I'm kind of gonna work myself back up to where, as the pastor said about, taking care of yourself. We do have a habit of taking care of a lot of things, a lot of people, or other things that are unimportant to taking care of ourselves. From the panelists, I'm just gonna, work myself up that chain to get to my topic, because I took notes for myself just as a reminder. And the last one was when Jayla said, writing your notes in the box on your daily activities or how you feel. And I love the statement when she said, getting things off my chest. If I don't do that, I can't sleep. I have to get it off. I have to go to bed peaceful at night, peaceful. So when someone has done me wrong, before I take another wrong action, I'm gonna think about it, get it off my chest, and consider how I'm gonna handle that problem. And then I heard about how, Jayla Ware said, that schedule and that coach and having that schedule and doing things repetitious. I'm gonna come back when it comes to community activity on what she said. And then I heard Kiara talks about, always saying those positive, polite things about yourself. I say out there in Zoom land that there was a time when I was in the Marine Corps where I had to look myself in the mirror. Like when Michael Jackson said, that man in the mirror, I became that man in the mirror that I did not like. And I had to tell myself that. Now, just because I didn't like myself does not mean I didn't love myself. I loved myself to acknowledge the things that I was doing wrong in life. And I looked at that mirror and I said, you, speaking to self, I do not like you and the things that you're doing. And I had to change. And that's what helped me when I started writing things down and putting on the mirror and look at the changes that I was going to make and monitoring myself by getting up, shaving in the morning, and said, what change am I going to address today and give a lot of attention to? And going real fast back up to, who was it? The first, I think Jayla, she said, keep yourself together. You control you. No one else does. If you let yourself be manipulated and be controlled by others, that is a reason to be out of control. But when you are controlling yourself and you're using your own mindset, regardless of what someone tells you that you're capable of or you're not capable of, that still it's you who has got to own that, or perhaps the need to disown it, especially when it's a negative comment about yourself. So going back to the doctor, when she talked about everything that she about the constructive and the destructive, and what category or what box are you in, I'm constantly looking at that about myself. And getting into my subject matter is when she started talking about that constructive and destructive, I started thinking about how I took some children all the way back to the dirt. I mean, D-I-R-T. Now, there's another word for dirt that I'm going to get into an acronym. When I think about the dirt, some people can say they think about sod. And when I look at sod and how powerful dirt is and all the things that it can do from that energy that comes up, from it, you look at that strong tree that pops up out of the ground from that dirt, I think about that sod. Now, I want you to remember that word dirt, or this word S-O-D, sod, because we're going to be talking about being structured. We're going to talk about being ordered, and we're going to be talking about being disciplined. So structure, order, and discipline will give you the greatest reason ever to engage in your community, solving problems with solutions that you yourself can do. And in order to do that, there are three things that I'm going to bring to your attention that you must be willing to do. One is you got to get up in the morning and realize, just like the doctor said, that you're part of this universe. You woke up in the morning to do something significant in this world, in your community. And most likely, I would say, not so much in your community, first in your neighborhood and in the family that you're a part of. You must learn to become involved in that positive sense. So let's think about these three things that I'm going to be talking about when it comes to community care. And that is involvement, engagement, and participation. And honestly, they all interact with one another. They all interact with one another. So the first thing, when I think about getting involved in the morning, is some people like to wake up in the morning and say, good morning if there's someone else around them. Me, I like to wake up and say, what a great rising. Because I got to get up and I got to know what my purpose is. And I got to have some sense of idea as to what am I going to do from being given that opportunity, blessed with that opportunity to wake up that particular morning. So the first thing I tell myself is what a great rising. Then if there's someone around me, I'm going to tell them good morning. But my rising, my ability to get up comes first. And when I get up, I am exercising. I am keeping myself in shape. I know for a fact that 67 years old, not all of you all, but I can get out there and run with some of the best of you and keep up, if not pass you up. So, involved in your community. When I retired from the Marine Corps and came back to the United States, the first thing I did was looked at a lot of my neighborhoods. I did not like what I saw. I did not like some of the things that, what people were doing and what people were not doing. And I said, okay, well, as a member of this neighborhood, I am going to do something about it. And one of the first thing I saw is that the children were not really getting nutritional meals. They were getting meals, but they were not nutritional meals. They were, and don't get me wrong, having something to eat is better than nothing to eat. But if I can see that you're getting something to eat and there's something better that can be done, and I can think of it, I'm going to do my best to do it. So one of the things I saw is that they were not getting nutritional meals. And I wanted to ensure that they were getting nutritional meals. I wanted to make sure that you're sure they can have Capri Sun every day. But what about that 100% orange juice? What about that 100% grape juice? To whereas it's not just concentrated with a lot of sugar, but it has more of the vitamins in it. So I took that route. I said, well, before I get mad at what somebody else is doing, I'll see if I can do it better. So I did it better. And I decided to go out and start delivering nutritional meals to the youth in the community. And some of the youth came up to me and said, well, can you do this on Saturday and Sunday? So I tried to build that base, and I'm still trying to build that base to ensure that our youth have not just something to eat, but ensuring that they have nutritional meals to eat. And if they can't get that, then I'm going to be thankful for whoever is giving them something to eat. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to try to do something better. So I love to be involved in my community. what are other ways that I love to be involved in my community? I love to be involved in the sense to whereas if there's opportunity to take them bowling or opportunity to have a sit down and have a conversation with them about, you know, life in general, I love to do that. When you think about involvement and the word participation, all these young people, even the adults, in the behalf of the community at large and mainly the youth out there in Zoom land who came to this event, this summit and made a constructive decision to be here, is that you are all involved in seeking a better way, even if it's just gaining knowledge. Like I'm saying, I got knowledge just from listening to people. Then you're involved, but you're involved in a positive manner. You're involved in gaining knowledge to whereas perhaps you can take back and share it to some of your peers. You're involved in the sense to whereas you're listening to those who are involved in sharing their knowledge as to how things, you know, benefit them in life or how they respond to certain things in life. So now, out there in the community, another way to get involved is to say that when there is something wrong, and you can sit down and come up with a solution, seek a way to implement that solution. And one of the ways could be is going down to your city hall and getting a paper, or in this case, contacting the city hall and getting an authorization to speak on a Zoom link or a Zoom event to where the city council is there, and share your solution. And if you can implement it, you implement it first. But I learned something in the Marine Corps at 17 years old. My commanding officer told me, he said, never come to me with a problem that you yourself cannot present a possible solution to. And I learned that at 17 years old. So I'm saying that when you see some of the problems in your community, first ask yourself, is it something that you can be involved in and solving it? Is it something that you can get other youth in, perhaps other peers or other classmates involved in, that you yourselves can solve that part in the community? You know, you go back and you think about, you know, trash on my block. There's nothing wrong with getting up and picking up that trash that's on your block to say, I live in a clean neighborhood or I live on a clean block. That's community involvement, community involvement. But now let's talk about another phrase, and we want to talk about engagement. That's stepping up your game. That's really saying, not only am I going to be involved, but I'm going to be engaged in my community as a young teen. I'm going to do what I can to maybe become involved with some organization, perhaps like Carbondale United, and say, well, I'm going to see if there's any volunteer work that I can do, or I'm going to become civically engaged in one of my faith-based organization, a church, and say, what is it that I can go out there and continues to solve every day and be engaged in my community, perhaps speaking not only to the clergymen, but speaking to the politicians, speaking to your senators, speaking to your aldermen, speaking to your precinct captain if you have one, and letting them know of problems or things that you see that can be done in your neighborhood to make it a better neighborhood. Don't just sit there and watch things that you do not like. That's the wrong thing to do. Look at those things, and again, I challenge you to come up with solutions to the situations. And when I say the word situation, I really prefer to look at anything that I'm going to address as a situation, because I prefer to address situations with solutions than solving a problem, and then the next day I got the same problem, then I got to solve it again. But when I think about this like a math problem, you know, I can put 1 + 1 on the math problem on the board every day and say, solve it. And you can say 2, and you'll be solving it for life. But in a situation and you come up with a solution and you want to resolve it, and that's like going back to that dirt saying, I want to get to the root cause of whatever this problem is in my community, and I want to resolve it. I want to sustain and stop what's happening from happening. I want to get rid of this problem to where it is discontinued to exist in my neighborhood. And again, you want to be engaged in that manner to whereas find some adults to say, well, I'd like to go and meet with my state senator. I'd like to go and meet with my state legislator and hear what it is they're willing to do in my neighborhood to help me implement a solution, or to help me have a better neighborhood to live in. How about to help me have a community center in a nearby neighborhood, whereas when I have my break rising in the morning, I got me a great place in the neighborhood to go and do some of my community involvement or to do some of my community engagement. Now, there's one thing that I'm going to do. If you don't have a question for me, I'm going to have a question, at least one question for at least all the students out there. Just one question. And remember, we're talking about being involved in the community. We're talking about being engaged in the community and doing things and understanding how they interact. You know, when your community comes up and says, we're going to survey the community and we want to see what people are saying, you know, what are the needs assessments in the community, or what would you like to see in the community? That is a great way to be involved in your community and give your council or your local government your views as to how money should be spent and how some of that money should be spent in designated programs to serve you in your neighborhood and or your community. I think that I recall that something came out maybe over the internet about 2 weeks ago from our Carbondale community, whereas they're doing such a survey. But I want you to understand that this is not just what Carbondales do. Every community does that. But a lot of times, the people who complain about what's wrong are not involved, nor do they engage, or they don't participate in these activities that will make things better. They complain a lot. And so as long as you're going to complain, things are going to remain the same. But when you become involved and you engage and you start to participate, I guarantee you some things are going to change because you're going to be persistent. You're going to be constructive. You're going to be structured. You're going to be ordered or orderly in your approach. And you're going to be disciplined enough to have some stick-to-itiveness and steadfastness in saying, I'm going to address this problem and I'm going to treat it like it's a situation so that I can resolve it and it no longer exists. These are the things that you are capable of doing. These are the things that when you utilize the system that was put in place and you utilize it properly, you can get some things done. But I also want you to remember is that not everybody is not about doing the right things, just like you have people in your neighborhood that's not. So you have to be persistent when you know that you're doing the right thing. And the one thing I have never needed somebody to tell me that I was doing both. Two things, the right and the righteous things when I address things in the community. And when I go to city council and I engage with them and I have that panel sitting up there and they're looking at me and they're giving me the 1,000-mile stare, I said, I have a solution for you. Then they buck up and they look at me like, what solution could he possibly have? I present them with the situation and I give them a solution. And I ensure that I have their ears. And a lot of times, even though I may not be the one to implement the solution that I cannot implement, but even if it's getting the grass cut at my nearby park, I guarantee you, someone from Park and Rec is coming out with one of those huge machines and cutting down the grass, only because I took it to the council. And those are things that you can do when you see things are wrong. Now, let's talk about that participation in the community. That participation in the community is in a lot of ways. A lot of ways. It encompasses being involved. It encompasses, meaning it's part of being involved. It's a part of being engaged. But when you say that you cannot participate, that's you stopping yourself from being involved or engaged in your community. Because once again, you got a survey going around that you can participate in and you can engage in by filling it out. You got census that are being done in the community that you can go around your neighborhood and say, hey, bro, hey, sis, did your family do the census? Did you fill it out? Because you know we need that money for our neighborhood. And we got this survey out that we're going to tell them, you know, some things that we need in our neighborhood. And then when that money comes, we're going to make sure that we engage and go and talk to our state legislator or our precinct committee or even the mayor and say, hey, you know we got this money that came to the community and we want to ensure that it's being used properly in our portion of the neighborhood. I hope that you're getting the gist of what I'm saying when I'm talking about filling out the census, because that's money that comes to your neighborhood, filling out that survey to identify things that needs to be done in that neighborhood, and then taking it to the mayor or the council to ensure that you're getting your portion of the money to address your needs in your neighborhood, which in return betters the community. But just like it was said earlier, you cannot take care of community if you cannot take care of your own neighborhood. You can only be a problem. But when you can take care of your neighborhood and ensure that the community is helping you do that, then you're bettering your community. Why? Is because you're participating in the activities that brings about that funding. You're participating in those surveys that come out. You're participating in doing the census. And at the bottom of it all, you're participating in the voting process, because if there's someone that's in office that you feel that should be doing something that's right and they're not, then you got to be willing to participate to vote them out and vote someone else in. You have that power. But if you don't use it, quite often somebody with power will abuse you because you don't even use your power. Never let nobody tell you that your vote don't count. Never let nobody tell you that your voice does not count. Your voice does count. And I hope with my voice that I am able to make a connection with you to let you understand that you got to get back to the root cause. You got to get back to that dirt and begin to address problems in your neighborhoods first to make a better community. You got to make sure that you have that structure, that orderly about you, and that discipline about you to be consistent in addressing problems, to be consistent in looking for solutions and implementing those that you can. You've got to be willing to be involved. You've got to be willing to have the courage to engage and to ensure that you are participating in all the things that you can at your age and continuing on throughout your life to make a better community and to improve the way of life for people in your neighborhood, family, and community. Thank you. Now, my question is, one, will you be involved? Two, will you engage? Or will you do all three and participate? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Norris. That was very encouraging, inspiring, not just for teens, but for anybody that's watching. It even causing me to see what more can I do. I think I'm involved and engaged in my community, but you didn't encourage me. I need to do something else. I got to do more. So thank you so much for those words. Let's hear from our panelists. So much to say. So much has been said already, but let's hear from you guys. Let's start with Kiera, and then we'll go to Caleb, Jayla Ware, and then Jayla Thompson.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gregory Norris. That was such a great inspiration to just be reminded, because when I think about community, community care, we really lost it from back in the day, how we used to have block parties. We used to be really involved with the community, but it's coming back, and I'm starting to really see like it come back. So just by us, advocating it today, I think that this is awesome, because I think we're seeing it more and more. So when I think of community, I think of unity, and that's exactly what it is. Because if you're not taking care of your community, it won't grow. So we need to definitely take care of the place where we live in, because it's inspiration. When you wake up and, like he said, if you see garbage on the ground, just pick it up, like, because there's another little kid watching you. So I'm inspired definitely to serve, because servitude is definitely important. I can tell you, I volunteered at the museum, the African American Museum, and I was blessed with a job to pay my rent for that whole year. So you just never know how you're giving, even though they say don't give to receive, you don't know how your giving can give back to you. So, always look for ways to serve your community, because you will be blessed. And I can stand up and say that. And another big thing about community, I think self-care and community care goes hand in hand, because if you not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your community. The Bible tells us to love others as we love ourselves, but if you're not loving yourself, how are you going to love others? So all of this goes hand in hand, and I think it's amazing that we're talking about this today. And it's just a lot to say, but I will not overwhelm you guys, but I think that those are the main things that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, Mr. Norris, I don't know if I should call you Mr. Norris or Reverend Norris, because you preach, sir. I thoroughly enjoyed you. Caleb, then Jayla Ware, then Jayla Thompson.
Yeah, Mr. Norris, that was absolutely amazing. Like, all the little gems that you dropped in there about different ways that we can participate and make our communities better places. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And one thing that kind of stuck out to me was talking about getting adults to help you kind of further your different solutions and stuff like that. I think having a network is definitely important, and it doesn't just have to be like from your family or whatever, like other people in your neighborhood, in your community, so that when you are presenting your solutions, you can have that support of your community, have that backing so that you can actually implement what you're trying to solve. And I think another big thing that he mentioned was a lot of times we just complain about what's going on and say, oh, I wish it wasn't like this. I wish it wasn't like that. But then not a lot of people take it that step further and actually, come up with a solution and like present that solution in order to actually fix your community. So I think it's very important, and it's something that we're all capable of doing. So I think it's very important that when you recognize a problem in your community, that you take that next step and figure out solutions in order to fix what you're seeing. Because like you said, you don't accomplish anything by just watching around and like sitting around and watching all these different issues pass you by. You have to take that initiative in order to find the different solutions and put them in action.
So I want to say thank you for all the great information and tips. It'll definitely be useful during this strange time of the pandemic. And I just really like how you posed the question if we would be willing to think of all three, being involved, being engaged, and participating. And I think that during the pandemic, I've just been a little stressed not being able to be around my community. Like I can't go to church or, do certain things that I would usually do. But I think it was last week I was actually able to help my community. Hopewell was passing out like boxes of fresh produce and dairy, and I was actually able to go socially distance, deliver those to people in my community and the elderly members at my church. And it really makes me feel better, like as a person, that I'm able to help my community, even though we're struggling at the time. So I just think that you gave great advice to be able to think of ways that you can combat the problems and find a solution, like Caleb said.
Mr. Norris, you did a really good job talking about your community, going around and helping people. You know, our church, we go around and we give out school supplies for kids, who can't afford, that's what it is. And I like helping people, or when I'm around my own grocery shopping and I see a homeless person, I give out money because, I think about that could be me, and I would want my community to help me out in many different ways. I just, want to help, my community because I can't help myself, So, I would want other people to try to help me. If I can't, love myself, I'm gonna love other people like Kiara said, I just want to be there for myself, but also be there for other people because other people need help if they don't have nobody else.
Such good stuff. Such good stuff. Such good stuff. I heard a wise man once told me that you don't have to be famous to make a difference. You just have to be willing. Got to be willing. You don't have to have a title. You don't have to have a lot of money. All you have to do is be willing to participate, be willing to get engaged, be willing to make a difference in somebody's life. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be big. Small thing, picking up some paper that you see on the street, looking out for someone else that may not have the means to look after themselves. So such good stuff that you guys have shared. We have a special treat. Well, before we get to the special treat, any questions, Faith? Do we have any questions for our panelists?
Yes, there are a couple of comments though from the previous presentation. Ricky Madison has shared Malcolm X, a quote from Malcolm X: "If you have no critics, you'll likely have no success. So the message there is life will have bumps, so believe in yourself. Also, a recommendation that he's found that meditating to music also helps in terms of self-care. And he is also, I will drop that information in the chat, but he also mentioned, and I asked if I could share this, that he is looking to start, here's another way to get involved, working on starting a Athletes Against Injustice at Carbondale Community High School. And I will drop that information in the chat. And he is also, I'm not sure, Ricky, you can comment if you are a former or current SMASH student. So already he was posting that, Mr. Norris, before you even mentioned about getting involved. So there you go. And I have to comment real quick, Kiara's comment about just picking up the trash. Young lady, that is one of my pet peeves. That is one of my pet peeves. I carry a grabber in my car. And if I'm not on my way to something or in a hurry, whatever, I will literally get out and pick up the trash because that just drives me insane. So caring for our community, caring for yourselves, when you said that that goes hand in hand, absolutely it does. Also, there's a couple of other items. One question, I think you all have answered the question pretty much, but if you want to have an additional comment on it, and it's that if you, if there are issues that you do see in your community, what you want, that you want to solve, and you do have any ideas, or do you have any ideas of how to solve them? I'll say that again. What issues do you see in your community that you want to solve, and do you have any ideas of how to solve them? So it's a different, perhaps, spin on the question that was posed to you by Dr. Norris. And Pastor Swims, if you want to steer who answers first, or if anyone wants to start to answer first, or if you have any comment on that, then that would be the time to do so.
Oh, I'll go, if that's okay.
Take it away.
Okay. I know I braid hair, and a lot of people, this is just for like women empowerment. A lot of the girls' hair that I do, they say a lot about, you know, not having the resources of sisterhood. So this has been an idea, but I definitely want to get it off the ground where I have more, like a sister circle type thing where we could come together and be able to disclose information, even give back to the community, even, you know, just come together as that bond, because a lot of women, young women out here, they're probably out here by themselves. And I think that just creating a circle for them to come and feel confident about is something that's needed in our community, is a place where that's just a need that I see as a woman. So I definitely want to do that. I have not did that, but coming to you soon. I mean, that's something that I'm going to definitely think about now for sure.
Whoever wants to go next, I think my connection went out and I came back in. So whoever wants to go next is more than welcome to.
I do agree with Kiara, you know, us girls coming together and talking about, you know, what's going on in our lives, and, you know, trying to get, you know, help from them, get their opinion, you know, ask them, you know, what should they do next, and, you know, see what they say.
So I've also been thinking about a problem during this pandemic, and as children not really having access to like learning and education like they would get at school. So I'm actually partnering up with some of my peers from Carbondale Community High School, and we're thinking about doing online videos where we would read a children's book and then upload it to a certain web page for younger students to be able to access someone reading, you know, books to them and stuff. So I think that'd be pretty helpful.
I love it, love it, love it. I love the idea of you know, looking beyond yourselves, looking for partnership. Jayla, this might be a good way, shameless plug with Liz in the public library. Maybe there's a partnership that can happen with doing that. That's a good way to be able to network. So I love all of the ideas. Again, you don't have to be famous to make a difference. All you have to do is be willing to get out there, to engage, and to do the work of doing that. Thank you guys so much. All of you out there watching, please give a virtual thank you to all of our guests, to all of our guest panelists, to all of our speakers. They have done such a phenomenal job up until now. Thank you so much for that. We have a special treat for you. We have a special treat for you that's getting ready to come up. The treat that we have for you, we have a video from Aaron Adayuwe. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I apologize, sir. Who was an outside linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. He graduated from Southeastern Missouri State, played basketball for John A. Logan. He went to Marion High School. He spent time in college working with youth in local schools, which transformed into a full-time job, implementing and creating a mentorship program for 170 students through the Honorable Young Men Club in Cape Girardeau Public School District. Please help me welcome Aaron from the Baltimore Ravens. Just bear with us for a moment as we work out some technical difficulties with the audio. Okay, we're having some technical difficulties. We'll try to come back to the video if we can before we leave. But if not, we want to thank Aaron again for just being willing to submit that video for today's summit. I want to introduce to you all this afternoon a summarizer of our virtual youth summit. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I have. I guess I'm not considered youth anymore at 35, but I've enjoyed this very much. So much great, valuable information. Again, this information is going to be available on the public library page and Carbondale United. Meet our summarizer. Brandon Woods is a 29-year-old Marion High School graduate, class of 2009. I'm sorry. Before we get to Brandon coming to summarize, now we're back to Brandon summarizing. Okay. He is a retail store manager and diversity and inclusion team captain for Sleep Number. When not at work, Brandon is also the assistant program director for All Love Basketball and co-host and assistant director / producer for the podcast From the Heart for the Heart. Please help me welcome Brandon Woods as our summarizer.
All right, can you guys hear me? You guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Get my video on, see if that'll pop on there. Just a minute. All right, there we go. Oops. Chris, thanks for that introduction. It sounds like it's a lot, but it's really not. This has been an awesome youth summit. It's been amazing, good tidbits. Dr. Weaver, she was great leading it off, and then Mr. Norris, you know, like I didn't know if to call you Pastor Norris or Mr. Norris as well too. You know, you were giving good words, and the panelists, You know, it's amazing. I work with youth all the time, so it's been amazing to see just from the panelists, how well you've been able to take the information, what you guys have been able to add, you know, to what our speakers are saying as well too. So I know we're going to help, you know, a lot of people. I won't be long on the summary. You know, I wasn't given much time, and I'll hold you to it. You know, again, you guys have said great things. I look at the self-care and the community involvement. What Chris mentioned that I've been involved in are both examples of both of those, you know, with the self-care and our podcast, kind of what Caleb said with unplugging from social media. On my social media, I'm very loud and very adamant about what's going on. And I was very adamant during the George Floyd incident and the protests that came after that. And but I was getting angry. I was getting outside of myself. I was doing, let me find my awareness wheel that I wrote down. I can't find it. I was doing passive, actually active destructive behavior is what it was. So I had to unplug, like Caleb said. But what Caleb, I want, you know, what you compounded on, or I don't know if you did or not, was that when you do come back from being unplugged, make sure you have a positive outlet. Make sure when you actually unplug, you went and made yourself better. You know, you went in and release some of the negative energy that you had and whatever the positive outlet was, so that when you plug back in, you're ready to go out and give yourself to the world, and whatever that may be. And then the community involvement with the All Love Basketball program. The area that I'm in, it's hard economics. You know, these kids don't have an outlet to stay out of trouble or to get themselves in front of college coaches. That's what we do in AAU basketball, is we get kids scholarships. So that was how the program started. It was my way of giving back. I love the game of basketball, and that's what kind of became from that. But to summarize a couple of things that were said, I thought what was really big, you panelists talked about it all the time, and then Kiara, you kind of really solidified it with your idea for that sisterhood group. And that's your network. You know, with you guys being young people, that's going to be most important, not just who you have around you to get you where it is that you want to go, or to help you or help what movement or event or way that you want to give back, you know, but also the friends that you have. You know, you guys are getting to the age now to where you're going to graduate high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to start moving into the working world. But it's the circle of friends you keep around you, you know, your close and personal, you know, friends or what have you. On MySpace, we used to call it, you know, your friends list. The people that are on there, that's just as important as your network. You are like the people that you hang around with. So as you're getting older, you want to pay attention to that. Make sure if you're doing self-care, if you're involved in the community, you have friends that are of that same like mind. So that's important as well too with the networking. And then I have two things that I want to say that kind of piggyback off what we talked about. The first one is confidence. You know, in order to get involved in the community, or even to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you like yourself, you need confidence. So I with Sleep Number, we had a national conference yesterday, and one of the quotes that stood out was on confidence. And I want you guys to hear this and let it soak in. And that is, confidence is humility to see your weaknesses, but you're soaring in your strengths. So I'll say it again. Confidence is humility to see your weaknesses, but you're soaring in your strengths. So in other words, you know that you may not be a good speaker. You may be able to get on a video and do something like that, or go march, you know, in a protest, you know, but find out what you are good at. You know, I have kids at home, so I couldn't be out marching like I would have actually wanted to, you know, so that was where the podcast came from. It was my outlet. It was my way to make change, to enact change. And that's what, you know, we've been able to do. And then the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is your futures and how that's defined. You know, we talk about everything we've talked about. There's a discipline, there's a structure, you know, there's an order to it. You know, as Mr. Norris says, I kind of went out of order with that. But the best way to do that is to build good habits. And the other quote, this is my quote that I came up with to build the good habits, is that your people, they don't define their futures. People define their habits, and our habits define our futures. Think about that for a minute. Think about that. The habits that you do, whether it is a positive self-care, whether it is the active, I can't think of it right now without looking at the wheel, the active behaviors, the active constructive behaviors. Make sure you're building those good habits, because that's going to define your future. I went a little bit longer than I thought I would. Again, this was a wonderful youth summit. I was filling in for Aaron, who couldn't be here live because of NFL obligations. So I appreciate everybody letting me on, Chris, Liz as well too. And, you guys take all this information and go out and be better. Be better for your community, be better for Southern Illinois, be better for the whole state, because even up here, we're watching you now. So thank you.
Thank you, Brendan, for those words, man. We definitely appreciate you. Again, thank you to all of our speakers, to our panelists. You guys have done such a phenomenal job today in sharing your insights, your ideas. I hope that you put your ideas into action and make those things work. I think our video from Aaron is working, so we're going to play that real quick and then we'll come back.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Aaron Adeoye. I play for the Baltimore Ravens, and Ms. Maxwell just reached out to me asking if I'll share a couple words with you guys, and it was my honor to do it. I like to speak with the youth. I got a mentoring program back at home that I mentor kids in at Cape Girardeau, Missouri, in the public schools out there, and so I just wanted to share, a little bit about me. A little bit about me is I went to Marion, Illinois, went to Marion High School. Right there, I played basketball, football, track. I went to college and I went on a Division I scholarship. And after that, I taught a couple years down in Cape, Missouri. And then after that, I got an opportunity to play football with the Baltimore Ravens. What I want to talk to you guys today is this little method that I use, in my life to help me guide through it, and it's called the ABCDE method. And the first one I want to say to you guys is A. A is for altitude. A is for attitude. And what I mean by that is your attitude develops your altitude. I know all you guys probably heard that once upon a time in your life, and that saying is kind of cliche, but it means all the world, because it's kind of true. If you have a good attitude, like whatever you're doing, you're going to attack it with good confidence and everything. A couple things I do to make sure I have a good attitude in the morning before I even go to work is, I make sure I play some good music. I got this little grateful list that I say 3 grateful things. Like I'm grateful for my mom, I'm grateful for that I got a job playing football, and I'm grateful, I might say I'm grateful for water, just because, I always say little things because I appreciate that I have those, because there's people in this world that don't have that. So I don't want to start my day complaining. That's a bad attitude. That ain't gonna get me nowhere. Instead of finding excuses, I'm gonna find a way, and that puts me in that type of mindset. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is B, and that's believing in yourself. Believing in yourself is everything, man. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? And how you start by doing that is just good, positive self-talk. Like, you have to talk to yourself nice, because if you don't, that's just another person that's beating you up. Because, if you go out in this world, like y'all heard it, I hear it all the time. Like, you might hear just negative comments that people might say, and it just throws you off. But if you talk to yourself and you put yourself in a good light and you build your self-confidence up every day, like, I can do this, or I'm the man, like, I am smart. Just tell yourself good words instead of negative words. It means all the world. I know today I was going through something and I was kind of scared. It was like a little technique on the football field, and I just had to tell myself, like, I got this. Like, I can do this, and that's just believing in stuff. And that took me to another level. Like, I was able to get through this drill, and I was able to do it perfect, and it took all my nerves away. So believe in yourself. It'll go a long way. Trust me. C, character. Character is probably one of the most important things, I want to talk about. Like, you got to have a good character. If you read a book, you got the bad characters, good characters. And whatever you read, they might say, like, they're thugs, or, or they're a good person. Like, they do good things, they do good deeds, they're respectful. Or they might say he's lazy. Or they could say he's a hard worker. Or, just what do you want people to talk about you as? When they say your name, what do they want to say behind it? Like, Aaron, he's a troublemaker. Nah, I want them to say, Aaron, man, he's respectable. He works his tail off. He's smart. Like, how do you make somebody else feel when they see you? That's your character. Next thing is dedication. Whatever you have in this life, like what are you dedicated to? You know, if you break down the root word of dedication, you got dead in there. And all dedication means is like doing something so much that you're willing to die for it. So your dreams, for example, you know, I wanted to play football, right? Or I want to be a professional athlete. And I told myself, I'm gonna be dedicated to becoming a professional athlete. And like I had in my head, like, man, I'm willing to die for this. Like, I'm willing to put my all into it. Like, that's how dedicated I am. If you're willing to die for something, you know how much dedicated that means. You're gonna do anything you can, you know, to achieve that. So like, be dedicated to something and really go hard at it, no matter what it is, whether it's, you know, playing a sport, starting your own business, or going to college. Be dedicated to that. Tell yourself, like, I'm gonna do this even if I have to die for it. You know, watch where your results go when you tell yourself that. The last one, but not least, education, and that's the one I really want to spend a little bit of time on, because education is kind of overlooked, or, you know, it's hard because we spend so much time. The reason why we spend so much time educating ourselves and getting the basics, because education is really not going to stop just once you get out of school. You're going to need to always be educating yourself, whether it's in your history, whether it's in your job, or anything. You need to learn how to educate yourself, because that's go far. And right now, you know, education, you know, it projects where your life is going to be, especially right now in school. And I always use this acronym POUR. You know, to me, all POUR is passing over opportunities repeatedly. And especially us, like in the Black community or whatnot, sometimes we pass over education. We be like, oh man, school ain't for us. But think about it. Education is the first opportunity you have. And opportunities, you know, they're not always there. But education is your first opportunity that you can get. And nobody should pass that up. Because, like, what happens if you pass education up? Y'all know, y'all see people who don't get their degree. Life is just so much harder. So you might as well tell yourself, be dedicated to education, and tell myself, like, man, I'm about to get this high school diploma. Then after I get this high school diploma, I ain't got to go to college, but I can get a trade degree. Then I can make money. Or you can go to college and you can do whatever you want in college, and watch how many doors open for you after that. You know, you'll have a lot more opportunities after that, just by taking advantage of this one opportunity, education. Like, it's so important, because, like, I cannot stress it enough. Like, education is the reason why I'm here. I'll break it down. If I ain't get good grades, right? Like, I had to have, right now you gotta have a 2.5 to be able to play college sports. If I didn't get that 2.5, I wouldn't have been able to go to college. If I ain't be able to go to college, I wouldn't have been able to become a pro. If I wouldn't be able to become a pro, I wouldn't be able to live out my dream. So, and it all stems from education. We sometimes we don't get to live out our life dream just because we don't take education serious. You take education serious, your possibilities is endless in this world. You're gonna have so many opportunities, but that's just because you take care of your education. It's the first way out of the hood. It's the first way out of your situation. And, you know, if you don't like living with your mom and dad, man, get smart, and you can go get you some grant money, and you can get up out of here, and you can go live in college. And now you're on your own, 17, 18 years old. Nobody got to tell you what to do, but you're educated, so you're able to go to college. You know, you're able to go to a dorm. You're able to get away from your family a little bit. You know, or you're able to get away from your hometown. You know, I didn't like living in Marion. I told myself I ain't trying to live in Marion for the rest of my life. You know, I want to see the world. But it all started with that education, and I figured that my parents drilled that into me. Like, if I ain't take school serious, then I probably would have been in Marion, Illinois. Might have been living with my mom. Nothing would have been wrong with that, but I would have been chasing my dreams. So I took education serious, and it paid off. That's just what I wanted to leave you guys with. Is a couple of those things. Is A, attitude. Attitude is your altitude. B, believe in yourself. You don't believe in yourself, nobody will. Character Everybody, make sure everybody remembers who you are for good. D, dedication. Be dedicated to something. And E, education. If you ain't dedicated to something, just definitely be dedicated to education, because then that'll open up a whole bunch of opportunities. And you don't want to be poor, passing over opportunities repeatedly. And it starts off with education. That's what we like to pass up on. Don't pass up on that. That's all I got for y'all for right now. Hopefully I can check back in with you. And hope y'all have a good day. Peace.
Wow, thank you so much, Aaron, for those words. I know, again, you didn't have to be a teen to be inspired by that. We all were inspired by that. So thank you again, Aaron, for taking time out of your schedule to share that with us. I hate that this has to come to an end. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope you have as well. Make sure that you share it. Make sure you tag people in on it as well, so they can be able to enjoy it and get all this information. Don't forget, the link for this, I'm sorry, is going to be on the Public Library's page, our Facebook page, and on Carbondale United's page. Before you get off here, don't leave too soon. Survey information. You must complete a survey to win. Privacy disclaimer: the information contained in these documents is confidential and would not be used, published, or redistributed without the prior written consent of Carbondale United. The surveys must be sent to your email address and must be turned in on Friday, July the 31st, which is tomorrow, 2020, by 11:30 p.m. So please adhere to all of the requirements to enter for our prize. Again, thank you to our speakers, Dr. Weaver, Mr. Norris, to all of our panelists. If you want to get more information about Carbondale United, email them at carbondaleunited15@gmail.com. The information is right here on your screen. Again, carbondaleunited15@gmail.com, or you can call them 618-306-5885. Again, 618-306-5885. We want to thank all of those that made this possible. You see all the names of the individuals and organizations that helped made this such a great success. Thank you so much for your time, for your commitment, for your dedication. I hope that you were inspired, whether you were a teenager, whether you were an adult, whether you were a mentor, you serve within your community, whatever. I hope that you take what was said and put it into action in your life, in your community, in your city. I'm going to leave you with this, and we're going to be gone. You don't have to be famous to make a difference. All you have to do is be willing to get involved, to get engaged, and participate. Thank you again so much, and I hope you have a great day and an awesome weekend.